Hi, I'm Ben Callis, co-founder and CEO of Lorica. Let's quickly walk through a situation that many security companies encounter on a regular basis. Client calls in with a request. In this case, you know they need an EP detail and a few armed guards, but not necessarily EP qualified, plus a TSCM or technical surveillance countermeasure sweep in Dallas in a few days. Now, the first challenge is understanding whether you can support the request. Do you have enough qualified personnel already available? If not, which vendors and partners could help? How quickly can you identify the right people, get the operations staffed, and gather the relevant information about those people, especially if they're not your own? Now, most companies answering those questions involves everything from emails to spreadsheets, phone calls, signal messages, and pulling information from systems that were not designed to talk to each other. In this demo, I'll show you how that entire process works inside Lorica. All right, I'm logged in as a company called Global Prime, a security company that has some internal personnel, but it relies heavily on vendors and affiliates to support its operations. We know that we need 3 EP agents, 3 armed guards, and 1 TSCM specialist. So the first question is, do we have the personnel internally to support this? For that, we can go to our personnel analytics page. This page allows me to view the personnel that are already visible to my company, whether they're 1099s, W-2s, and rather than go through every one of their profiles to see who's qualified or go through a spreadsheet, I'm just going to use the filters based on their up-to-date real-time data. So let's see who currently has a Texas level 3 license. So we got 5 personnel. One is actually a shared profile. So Jason's basic information has been shared with us by another company while he's on a separate mission for us. So he's not going to be available. It's like Jack has an expired license, so that's not going to work. And if we take a look at who is actually based in Texas, only 2 people. So we already know that we're going to need to reach out to our broader vendor network for this. Now we could do that on the company analytics page, but since I know I'm going to be reaching out with a staffing request anyway, I'm just going to do that. So to save time, I've already created a staffing request. And a staffing request contains all the basic information that a vendor or a contractor, part-time employee is going to need to be able to say yes or no to a request. So that includes timeline, locations, and the personnel groups that we need for this request. So executive protection detail, guard detail, TSCM specialist. And once we have this basic information, we can override stuff like hourly rates when we get to an individual level after we select recipients. Move on to recipients. And for each of those details, it's going to pre-filter for those that already meet the requirements. In this case, they need a Texas level 4, and they need to be located in Texas. Of course, we can broaden that search out, but as far as the professionals that we're connected to, these are the 2 that we saw earlier. So let's select them, and we can move over to companies as well. Now, I can't see companies' individual personnel because we don't reveal internal rosters, but I can see the company's credentials. So I can see that Stonehaven looks like it has a Texas Class B license, so they can operate there. And I can see that they have 2 personnel that have valid Texas Level 4 licenses. Same goes for First Tactical. They've actually got a few more people, they got 4. So I'm going to add them both to the request. That's for this detail. Same thing for guard detail. Let's just go ahead and select everyone that's on there. Same professionals in my network. It's like Stonehaven, Black Pine, and First Tactical all have personnel that meet the requirements, so let's add them. Black Pine's only got 1, but hey, who knows? TSCM, we've actually got more options. 5 companies in my network all have at least 1 person with a valid TSCM certification, so let's add them all to that part of the request. And each of these recipients is going to see just their part of the request. If they're on all 3, great. If they're on only 1, they're just going to receive that like TSCM. Save. And move on to pricing. Now we can just go with the default pricing that we put in. So here it's $80 an hour for EP, $45 an hour for guard, $1,200 a day for TSCM specialist. We can override any of these if we want to. Like if we have a different contract with First Tactical, we just go with whatever's in the MSA. So let's call this 50. Once we hit publish, this is going to be live, and let's go see what it looks like from a vendor's perspective. So now I'm logged in as First Tactical, one of Global Prime's vendors. They're going to receive an email. They're going to receive an in-app notification about this, push notifications. But once they receive it, they'll go to their inbound staffing requests, and they'll see the same information. And it's going to pre-filter for who in their network is available. So Hobbs is a 1099, so they're going to know that that's actually not allowed in Texas. It needs to be a W-2. So they'll nominate these guys based on who is available. Let's just say all three of them are. Add a quick note if they want to. Can override the price if they know that Elijah's like one of their agents in charge and they require $100 for him. They can do that. Quick note. Submit these guys. And do the same thing for the next two. They'll also nominate someone if they have anyone for TSCM. So let's see if they got anyone. No one that matches all of the requirements, so probably no one's based in Texas. But let's see who they have for TSCM if they're not in Texas. Nominate both of them. The other vendors will do the same thing. So they've been able to use all their tools, tap through their network, figure out who can support, and then send this all back within a couple of minutes. So now let's go back to Global Prime. So now back at Global Prime, I can watch these submissions come in real time. And all this information is structured in a consistent way, which makes it much easier to review information that's sent by different vendors. And what's essential to understand about the Lorica network is that this is a network. This is not like someone just sent me a static bio or a zip file. This is Elijah Torres' profile is controlled by the individual. So if he goes in and updates his Florida concealed carry license or his California firearm permit that's getting close to expiring, this information doesn't have to get relayed through First Tactical and then sent over to me. We'll all see this page update in real time. Everything on this network shares the same source of truth, whether it's about a company or about an individual. That said, submitting and then accepting a nomination does not create a permanent relationship or an employment relationship with my company. This just allows me to quickly compare individuals and decide who I want to work with me on a given assignment. There is a totally separate feature that has to do with profile sharing. But for this, it's a very quick way to communicate, cuts out all the emails and phone calls and all that. And I can quickly staff an operation based on what I see in each of these profiles. So let's do TSCM. Let's say we go with Jessica Kallenberg. So at this point, this is staffed. I can close submissions and that'll notify everybody that I have everyone I need. This is done at this point. And once I fulfill this, everyone receives a notification of their status, whether they're accepted, waitlisted, rejected. And now it's done. That was just one of the workflows that Lorica is designed to support. But even so, the result is a much faster and simpler way to coordinate work across a network. Global Prime is able to assess its internal resources, determine whether its network could support the request, identify the right vendors, collect responses and evaluate candidates, and then staff the operation from a single platform. And of course, the next time a similar request comes in, the company already knows where qualified capacity exists within its network. And as that network grows, finding and activating the right personnel becomes faster and more predictable. And that's what Lorica is designed to do for the security industry. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in seeing how Lorica can support your organization, we'd be happy to schedule a more detailed walkthrough.